of it is some of these guys won't be here. It's just the reality of it. It's not a negative. It's just like in the NFL. There's free agency. There's some guys on teams that are going to have to move on to other teams.
They don't like discipline. They don't like this. The world's so soft. I don't believe that. This is the biggest transfer portal story this year, and it's the fact that a whole entire team transferred out of Marshall, who just won the Sun Belt Championship, to follow one Charles Huff. And sadly, no more Tudor's biscuits. But we're going to get into it deeper. There's been an update. Mr. Charles Huff is back in the news, just kind of addressing the media, being with Southern Miss, and kind of talking about the mentality that he's going to bring to a team that was dead last in the Sun Belt after he just won the Sun Belt with that team. All that roster hopped over. So we're going to look at the transfer portal and the outlook for both Southern Miss and Marshall. Marshall just lost their whole team, so they had to transfer a bunch of people in. And then Southern Miss just imported a whole team. And God knows what's going to happen when the transfer portal opens back up in April. It's a lot of craziness. So right now, I think it's a great time to check in on our favorite hit maker when it comes to NIL. Look, I'll probably put it at the beginning. I don't care. I love this video. This is one of my favorite videos in college football.
I feel good about the track we're on. Trust me, I know where we are, but I feel good about the track we're on. And I feel good about the players we have. Would love to have some of those guys from Ohio State too. So if they want to transfer on down, we've got a Tudor's biscuit NIL, all you can eat. So if any of those guys that run really, really fast at Ohio State like Tudor's biscuits.
All right. I'll stop. I just think it's hilarious. I think it's very funny. But in all seriousness, let's talk about Charles Huff talking about the 40 new faces, quarterbacks, all types of things, double transfers, hopping back, and they really want to follow Charles Huff. Let's figure out why that is.
Wasn't going to tell you guys this, but probably
shout out Scott Kirk, by the way. That's where I'm getting this from.
We're a little bit different. We're not into building the team yet. This first phase, the way we talked about it with our guys, this first phase, we're into building the individual. We're not into building the team yet because the reality of it is some of these guys won't be here. It's just the reality of it. It's not a negative. It's just like in the NFL. There's free agency. There's some guys on teams that are going to have to move on to other teams. Here, once we evaluate holistically, and I'm not just talking about, hey, he can run or he can't run, he can't go to class every single day. He can't prepare for practice. He can't manage himself by showing up on time. Or he's a great player that doesn't fit in these schemes. It's the reality of it. So there's still going to be a shifting of who is going to be on the team. So right now in these two phases, in the first two phases, we're not focused on building a team. We're focused on building the individuals that will be on the team. So what does that mean? Teaching every individual in the program what it's going to take for you to be a member of this team moving forward. When we get to the summer, then we'll start building the team, if that makes sense. I don't think you can start building a team when you haven't taught guys what it takes to be on the team. You haven't taught guys how to prepare. You haven't taught guys how to play the game of football. You haven't taught guys discipline. You haven't taught guys accountability. Because as I'm teaching you those things, this is America. This is a free country. If you don't like discipline, you have the option to go somewhere else. So I'm not going to force you to do things to be on this team that you don't want to do. So our first two phases through the winter, through the spring, is teaching the individual what it's going to take to be on the team. When we get to June, you can ask me that question, and then we'll start blending the two teams together. Right now, you start trying to blend teams together. A guy may develop a relationship with a guy that's not going to be here. He may be a great football player, but if he's a wing T quarterback, he's not going to take any snaps here. We don't run wing T. He's a great player. It's not going to work. So what we're trying to do is not blend the team right now. We're trying to teach all the individuals what it looks like and how to be on this team. Then we can start blending it once we decide exactly who's going to be on the team.
First off, shout out to Cam Ward because he was actually a wing T quarterback in high school. That's funny that you just kind of brought that up. But after hearing this and after the extensive, we've made multiple videos about this on the channel. It just comes to my mind that this is one of the coaches that deserves similar, not the same, because Deion Sanders, gold jacket, XYZ. But if y'all think I'm a Deion Sanders fan page, which I guess kind of I am. I don't know why you wouldn't be. I am also a Charles Huff fan page because in this modern world where people get things mixed up, that's what I'm not going to go on this rant about all masculinity and this and leadership and XYZ, but whether you feel left or right or X and up or down, things are in a weird state, and I think people perceive things in a weird way, especially the game of football in the traditional way that it's done. And I feel like I'm somebody who believes, like he says, in the freedom and the beautifulness of this, of what you got to do, and you being able to do what you do, how you feel, the way you do it. But understand that there does still need to be like, hey, if this is football, like, you know what I mean? Like, hey, this is gonna be discipline, right? Like, this is you. If you don't want that, hey, you got hop in the portal, big dog. I just brought 40. I just brought Louis. You know what I mean? I'm not sure if can y'all call Charles. I want to call it Louis, but I don't know. Maybe he, you know what I'm saying? Maybe he bringing the Chanel in. I don't know. Maybe the Givon. I mean, I don't know. I don't know if he, you know, what his lady like, but he bringing something. Right, he bringing some decent Sun Belt championship talent, right? I don't know if y'all know or if y'all remember, but guess who was coaching this dude, Mr. Mike Green? I'm not sure if y'all remember him. Absolutely forklifting people. This boy became a first round pick off of just forklifting people in the Senior Bowl, boy. Like, this is, I mean, clearly he's producing something that works. Is my point, right? And the fact that he also understands and can mesh the reality of the modern world of college football, like Deion Sanders does too. Hey man, some of these people's not gonna be here. It's we wait for that portal to open because they're gonna hop out. Some people who came here gonna hop out. Some people who are trying to adjust to the new Southern Miss ways are just not gonna be able to keep up. And I really think that's fire. So let's kind of go deeper into what Charles Huff has a plan for this year. We're going to talk a little bit about his, hires and staff. And then we're going to poke around to some of the older videos about him just coming in. And then if we got some time, and then of course get to the portal. And then if we have time, we can get back into the full interview about him addressing. But let's hear him talk about the staff he's building.
You know, I think obviously we've got experience on all different levels. You know, one of the things I wanted to make sure, Mississippi is a special place. Recruiting Mississippi is a special place. You got to have regionality awareness when you recruit this state. You know, I think we have that on our staff. We got a good balance of youth and experience. At this level, when I worked for Coach Saban, I never really understood how he managed to change staffs every year and still be successful. When you work on this level, you learn how to change staffs every year and still be successful for different reasons, obviously. But what it taught me was you always got to be able to balance your staff, you know, however that balance is. And there's multiple areas. There's a youth balance. There's an experience balance. There is a regional awareness balance. You know, there's great coaches all over, but in the recruiting world, you got to have some familiarity in the areas you're going into. I think it helps, especially now in the transfer portal area, when guys start talking about, hey, I recruited this young man in high school. Now 3 years later, he's looking to make a change, and we still have that relationship. And then I think we have a really good balance of coordinators who have coordinated for a long time and know how to manage staffs. You know, I think that's probably an undervalued quality of a great coordinator. We can all call plays, and we can all, you know, pick a great person to, you know, call plays on game day, but being able to manage the staff and who can handle what responsibilities, who needs to be instructed a little bit more, who needs to be a little bit less, how do you balance the weaknesses on your staff and managing your staff before it gets to the head coach. And then obviously I have to do that holistically throughout the organization. But our staff from top to bottom has been great. I think the familiarity of the guys that I've worked with before, plus the balance of the new guys, has been really good.
Love to hear that, right? And, you know, I think really great to point out, not just shouting out Nick Saban, but understanding that, you know, people talk about the Saban, what's it called, almost like the Saban touch, right? When you get underneath them after you've been fired, you go back on it, almost a rehab, right? You know, you get there, you get to learn how and why he operates the way he does, and kind of you're able to show your talents, right? And through different things. So I think that he's able to still recognize that and still have growth and still see the process of what it is as he's on the rise, right? This is, you know, I hate to say it, no, unless Southern Miss becomes, you know, just a Sun Belt juggernaut, which I think they can, you know, by what he did at Marshall. I think he did that in 4 years, if I'm not wrong. So I think once that happens, or if that happens, right, you could be looking at somebody who could go on a Nick Saban like run in the Sun Belt, right, and kind of have his own world there. But let's talk about the portal, right? Let's talk about something that he is not only very well introduced to, but something that he is very willing to use. So Marshall quarterback, Mr. Braylon Braxton has signed with Southern Miss. Following Charles Huff, the Sun Belt Newcomer of the Year, had 3,936 career yards, 41 total touchdowns, helped Marshall win its first Sun Belt title. And Gilbert, tight end, who originally headed to Marshall but headed to USM with new coach Charles Huff. And I wanted to point these two out before we get deeper into it, because I want to just kind of feel the need to explain that this isn't just, oh, we're just transferring. No. This is deeper. These are young men in a world where people like to say that, oh, young men, they don't like discipline. They don't like this. The world's so soft. I don't believe that. I don't believe that. I believe that the people teaching the people that you think are soft, they're the soft ones. They don't want to adapt and find new ways to discipline in a new world, in a new day, in a new age. Deion Sanders has done it. Charles Huff has done it, right? Dabo Sweeney has been able to do it, right? And they need their credit because these are men who know and are learning what the new era of men need to look like, and still finding ways to sculpt them, reach out to them, impact on them so much that, hey man, I'm following with Charles Huff, right? I know I was big and bad with Marshall, but no. I want to get his, y'all just won the Sun Belt Championship. I'm here for Charles Huff. And I think that speaks volumes to the work that he's already done, and hopefully to the work that he will do. So let's start with Marshall. Like we've seen, and I think this is good because you can also see, like, this was all, what I'm saying, this is what Charles Huff was coaching, and this was talent, right? This is not just some dudes, right? They're not just all going to Southern Miss, right? Some of them are going to Kentucky, right? Some of them are going to different places. Want to make sure 127. All right, make sure we're all updated here. We got him popping out. Of course, a lot of people going to Southern Miss, but then you got people coming into Marshall as well, right? Somebody from Texas. Who is he? Is he he's a punter, so not much going on. But shout out to my guy. That's a Texas guy. Carlos Del Rio Wilson from Stanford. Not Stanford. I'm so stupid. From Syracuse. Oh, wow. Marcel Williams hopped in the transfer portal, and then he's like, nah, I want to stay with Marshall, so that's good. You got a guy going to FIU. Malik Caswell going to Southern Miss. And again, he's a freshman, right? So redshirt junior. These are these younger guys who probably been more recruited as well, right? More people coming in as well. He's out of there. He entered the transfer portal, stayed with them. Okay. Southern Miss. And then you see, this is obviously in the announcement, Southern Miss. And then somebody coming in. And then Southern Miss coming in. And people are coming in while they're coming out. It's a bunch of crazy. Southern Miss. Like, it is, you can see what happened there. But it's also cool to see that, they're still bringing in people as well. And then on the other side, because I think this is important to know that this is a team that is still going to get flipped over, right? So they got 40 new transfers in this year, but they still have people leaving, right? Still got people popping out, right? So last team, so you got people leaving, boom, boom. And then, of course, hitting Southern Miss from Marshall. And then, boom, from Ole Miss. Hold up now. From UAB, from Arizona State, Virginia Tech, South Carolina. Someone who entered the transfer portal and said, nah, I'm staying. And then 111. At 25, you got, this is going to be probably a lot more Marshall, you know what I'm saying? And a lot of people leaving as well, too. So a lot of people left, but Marshall, just the flip side of that other thing. But I do think it's important to point out that right now, that this recent time in the portal, he's getting people from Ole Miss, he's getting UAB, he's getting Arizona State, Virginia Tech, SC, plenty of SEC talent. And I think that just goes to show the effectiveness that he's been in the staff that he's built together in totality. He's doing some elite things over there, and I really think that he can do what he did to Southern Miss that he just did in Marshall in about 4 years. So even people on Twitter are believing him. They say, I believe that Coach Charles Huff is going to get Southern Miss to that Sun Belt Championship. How do you not feel like that? They've got over 20 commits right now. Southern Miss head coach Charles Huff has been cooking in the portal. This is back in December 26th. Since being hired 2 weeks ago, the Golden Eagles currently have the #1 transfer portal class in the Sun Belt Conference, and that was at the time. So great to see, and obviously things are going to change and people are leaving. It don't really matter until this new transfer portal, like you said. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to hit that. The portal reopens again, so we'll go from there. And then we'll take you back, right? I kind of want to talk about, because it's easy to talk about, okay, he left Marshall, but what really happened? Some people think it's negative, but in Charles Huff's own words, it was just more so something that it seemed like they just wasn't ready to take the next step with him. So let's let him hear.
There was a process put in place by the administration, and they went through that process thoroughly. At the end of it, they felt going in another direction was the right decision. That decision was probably made before we won the championship, if that makes sense. It was a mutual decision. It wasn't a knockdown, drag out. Before we got to the winning of the championship, there were some opportunities at other places that presented themselves. And out of respect for my family and where we were in a contract situation, some of those had to be vetted. Some of those had to be researched. A lot of appreciation for Jeremy and his staff for waiting until after the championship before we got heavy into it. But again, it was a decision that was made. I think it was probably made before we were champions. And then the actual parting was a mutual, hey, we understand your situation, you understand ours. It's not, what do you call it? It's not traditional. It doesn't always have great answers, but it was where we were left in the moment, if that makes sense. And it wasn't okay, you're looking at, championship to worst team in the conference. It was, hey, you're looking at a situation where holistically you feel you're in a better situation, people, resources, opportunity, community buy-in, everything involved.
And that means a lot, right? And I think that means a lot, not only just from the mental state, but I think the way and how much that he can buy in, right? If he goes to a place like Marshall, has that turnaround, wins the Sun Belt, and then, obviously, like you said, the decision was made beforehand, but he, doesn't feel like they were even confident enough. He had to feel that lack of confidence going into the year. You know what I'm saying? The way that he's talking about that. So the fact that he goes out on top and does that, he's able to show his players that he recruited, because, the good thing about the portal, I know we used to talk about how awful it was that coaches left, but now coaches left, now coaches can leave and the players can follow, right? It's a little different, right? That's a little, it adds, I think, a little bit more flexibility and leeway to even the coaches too. And I think it makes things sting a little less. He did what he needed to do to prove to those players that, hey, let's go ahead and do it again. Let's go to the top of the Sun Belt again. Let's become one of the bigger stories in college football. Make sure y'all make it to the league. I really do think Charles Huff deserves a lot more credit. I think he deserves a lot more attention. I know he's only in the Fun Belt, but I think as this year goes on, I think as players like Mike Green start flying up portals, people are going to ask, who is the guy who coached these people? I think Southern Miss, if they can, add more fun to the Fun Belt, it's going to be great for everybody. But it's a big thing, man. I know 40 players. It's a whole new way, and we'll see what happens in the portal again. We'll keep up with this team. But y'all let me know in the comments if there's any other transfer portal stories y'all want me to keep up with. This is my bread and butter. Love doing NIL stuff, college football stuff, all types of things like that, man. If you enjoy college football content coverage, everything else in between, man, like the video. Dislike if you don't like it, subscribe if you want to keep up, man. I really appreciate you, and please remind yourself how great she is, because you're pretty great, man. Go out there and kill it, man. Peace.